What makes someone a balanced leader? Hey there, this is your friend and guide, Caroline. On today's Balanced Leader, my incredible guest and I share strategies to help you lead with confidence, stay resilient, and avoid burnout. This isn't just about leadership, it's about thriving holistically, in mind, body, and spirit. Ready to recalibrate? Well, let's dive in and create the balanced life you deserve.
The pressure is on. Year-end goals are looming, sales numbers need to hit, performance reviews are piling up, and oh yeah, the holiday chaos, it's in full swing. It's that time of year when the to-do list feels endless, the expectations skyrocket, and somehow you're supposed to balance it all with a smile. Sound familiar? But what if I told you that this overwhelming season isn't just about surviving, it's a chance to thrive? Hi, I'm Caroline. Let me tell you, there's a better way. This time of year is a time to reconnect with what makes you a powerful, authentic leader. A time to bring not just results to your team, but also presence, joy, and a renewed sense of purpose. Because here's the thing. Leadership isn't just about closing the year strong, it's about how you show up for yourself and others in the process. And I know if you're listening to this, you're not just any leader. You're someone who leads with heart, someone who's ready to stop operating on autopilot and start showing up with intention. In today's episode, we're going to unwrap 3 gifts that will help you close this year, not just successfully, but meaningfully. We'll talk about how to lead with presence so that you can be fully there for what matters most. We'll explore how to rediscover joy, even when the demands are high, and we'll uncover your unique leadership gift, the one thing that sets you apart and makes you unforgettable to your team. If you've been feeling stuck in the grind, craving something more, and ready to step into the kind of leader you know you can be, then this episode is for you. Let's dive in.
Welcome to this edition of TBL. This is going to be a solo episode. But before we begin, I want you to pause for a moment and ask yourself, how are you leading right now? That might be a tough question for some of you, right? Are you rushing from one task to the next? Are you juggling priorities, trying to keep everyone happy, and hoping that at the end of it all, you're finally caught up? Or worse, are you pushing so hard to hit every goal that you're forgetting why you're doing this in the first place? Trust me, I've been there, caught in the grind, telling myself that the harder I worked, the better leader I was. But here's what I learned the hard way. Leadership isn't about how much you do, it's about how you show up. Because if you're distracted, overwhelmed, or running on autopilot, your team is going to feel it. And what they need most right now isn't more action, it's more presence. That's why this episode matters. Because in the chaos of year-end, it's easy to lose sight of the kind of leader you want to be. But I promise you, there's a different way to approach this season. A way that allows you to meet the challenges, reconnect with your purpose, and even rediscover a little joy along the way. So today we're going to unwrap 3 powerful gifts. Presence. No, not the ones that you buy for people that are wrapped, your actual presence, joy, and your unique leadership strength. That can help you finish this year, not just successfully, but meaningfully. So let's get started by getting grounded. Let me tell you a little story about how I learned to shift from surviving to thriving during one of the busiest seasons in my career. It was called the Reindeer Run. But I want to share the story because I want you to understand the importance of presence. When I worked in retail and HR, December wasn't just busy, it was overwhelming. Everyone was pushing to hit year-end goals, see how much you could get done. Stores were bustling and stakes felt sky high. But instead of diving headfirst into the chaos, we had a tradition that shifted everything called the Reindeer Run. I loved it. The Reindeer Run wasn't about checking the boxes or making sure everything was perfect, because by December, the store should already be sparkling, the teams energized, and plans in motion. Instead, this was our time to celebrate with the team, to show up, not as supervisors or problem solvers, but as people who cared. So what did we do? Well, during the Reindeer Run, I would visit stores with one goal: connection. I'd walk in and immediately thank the team for their hard work. Then I'd ask one simple question: what, if anything, can I do for you right now to make your life easier? That question was a game changer. Everyone had something they needed, whether it was fewer emails, help with staffing, or an extra hand unloading a delivery, maybe even picking an online order. Here's the thing: I wasn't an expert at everything, but I showed up anyway. I would lean in and help them with whatever they asked. If that meant picking orders, I was picking orders. If that meant unloading a shipment they just received, I would help unload it and put it where it needed to go. Whatever we could do to make sure that the team felt supported and felt energized so that they could take care of the customer. In fact, a lot of times stores were organizing a food drive for the animal welfare through donations. I made it a point to purchase 2 tins of cat food at every location. It didn't cost me much. And not because I had to, because it felt right. That small act not only supported their initiative, but reminded me of the bigger purpose behind what we do as leaders and why I worked for the company that I worked for. Because showing up, being present, and giving our time and energy makes all the difference. That experience taught me something profound. Leadership isn't about doing everything. It's about being fully present for the people and moments that matter most. And when you do that, you don't just build trust, you build connection, purpose, and impact. And that's what we're going to focus on today: how to lead with intention and show up fully for what matters most. Because in the middle of chaos, your ability to be present is what sets the tone, not just for your team, but for yourself. And when you pair that presence with joy and your unique leadership gift, you're not just surviving the season, you're creating moments of meaning, connection, and growth. So let's break it down. And let's start with the first gift: presence. Because without it, everything else fails. Everything else feels a little off. So let's start with why presence is so critical, especially during busy times like these. Presence is about more than just physically being in the room, right? We've had leaders that have been in the room, but you could have cared less if they were. It's truly about your energy, your attention, your active listening, and the message you're sending to the people around you. Think about it. When was the last time you were in a conversation where you felt the other person wasn't fully there? Maybe they were nodding along but glancing at their phone, or maybe their responses felt rushed and surface level. How did that make you feel? Probably frustrated, dismissed, maybe even invisible. Now let's flip that. Think about a time when someone gave you their full, undivided attention. They made you feel heard, valued, and important, didn't they? As a leader, presence isn't just about good manners, it's a leadership strategy. It's what builds trust, strengthens relationships, and opens the door for meaningful communication. And trust me, that pays back tenfold. And during high pressure seasons like this one, that trust and connection are what your team needs most. But here's the thing, presence doesn't just impact your team, it impacts you. When you're not trying to juggle 12 things at once, you feel more grounded, less stressed, and better able to focus on what actually matters. Because presence simplifies the chaos. It truly is a reset button for your leadership. Now let's look at the flip side. What happens when you're not fully present? We've all been there. I've been there. You're in a meeting and instead of listening, you're mentally drafting an email. Or you're in a one-on-one, but you're distracted by your never-ending to-do list or the emails that are popping in. What was the result? Your team notices. They might not call you out on it, but they feel it. They feel like they're not a priority. And over time, that erodes trust. Some of the best leaders I know wouldn't touch their phone while they were in visiting their teams until they left and got back in their car or back into their office. Because disconnection also impacts how you lead. You miss the nuances, the unspoken concerns, the little ideas that could spark something bigger. The moments where your presence could have shifted that energy in that room. And honestly, it's gotta be exhausting for you too. Trying to juggle everything at once leaves you scattered, overwhelmed, and constantly behind. It truly is a lose-lose. But here's the good news. Presence is a skill you can build. And once you start leaning into it, the ripple effects are incredible.
Here's the truth. The cycle of overwhelm and frustration isn't going to fix itself. It's not your inbox, team, or workload. It's how you lead your time, energy, and priority. Inside my new program, Elevate Your Leadership Presence, you'll learn to stop reacting, set boundaries that command respect, and create space for your goals and growth. This isn't just about surviving, it's about transforming how you lead. Join the waitlist today through the link in the show notes. See you there.
So how do you actually start building presence, especially when the demands feel nonstop? Well, let's talk about a few simple but powerful practices you can start today. 1, the 1-minute reset. Before your next meeting or interaction, take 1 minute to pause. Close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and ask yourself, what does this moment need from me? This tiny act of mindfulness shifts you from reactive mode to intentional mode. You're no longer rushing in scattered energy. You're showing up fully. An example that I can give you is I had suggested to this leader who struggled with being present during tough conversations this exact tool. She stated that using it before every one-on-one, and the difference was night and day. She felt calmer, more focused, and her team noticed her shift immediately. So try that one out. 2, single tasking for 1 hour. We've all been guilty of multitasking, but the truth is it doesn't always work. So try this instead. For 1 hour, turn off all notifications, silence your phone, and focus on one task at a time. It's not easy, but you'll be amazed at how much more grounded and effective you feel. So an example of this would be when I was working on year-end reports or budgeting, I made a rule to block out distraction for 90 minutes of focus sessions. The result? My work is not only faster, but also higher quality because I was dedicated to whatever that topic was. And you know what else was a bonus? I didn't feel drained at the end of the day like I normally did. 3, the 80-20 listening rule. In your next conversation, aim to listen 80% of the time and speak only 20% of the time. I know that can be tough, but ask open-ended questions like, What's on your mind? Or how can I best support you right now? Then really listen. Resist the urge to jump in with solutions right away because your silence creates space for others to open up. So another example of this was when I coached a manager recently who struggled with jumping straight into problem solving mode. When she started using the 80-20 rule, her team began opening up more. She uncovered challenges she never would have known about otherwise because she was assuming, and her team felt genuinely heard. So now she's solving for their actual concerns and problems. 4, daily reflection practice. At the end of each day, take 5 minutes to reflect. What went well, what didn't, and what needs your attention tomorrow. This simple habit can clear your mind and help you close the day with intention instead of carrying the weight of unfinished tasks home with you. So one leader I worked with once shared how this practice helped her sleep better and feel more in control of her workload. It became her favorite part of the day because it was a moment to breathe and recalibrate because she was learning from things that she had experienced and was reflecting on. So when you lead with presence, you create a ripple effect. Your teams feel valued and they bring more of their best selves to the table. You'll see that trust grows even more so, communication improves, and here's the bonus. Presence isn't just a gift for your team, it's a gift for yourself because it brings clarity, reduces stress, and reconnects you to your purpose as a leader. Okay, so we've unpacked the gift of presence. Let's move on to something just as transformative, joy. Because when you lead with joy, you don't just change the energy in the room, you change the way people experience their work, their challenges, and their successes. Think about it. Let's talk about how to rediscover that spark, even in the busiest of seasons. Let's first talk about the word joy. It's a word we don't often associate with leadership, especially during high pressure seasons. But here's the thing, joy isn't just nice to have, it truly is essential because without it, burnout creeps in and everything feels heavier. Joy is what fuels creativity, resilience, and connection. And if you're leading without joy, you're missing out on one of the most powerful tools. Because the truth is, most leaders forget to prioritize joy. You get so focused on goals, metrics, and deadlines that you push joy to the sidelines, telling yourself, I'll make time for it when things settle down. But let's be real, things never settle down. Joy isn't something you wait for. It truly is something that you create. So right now, you might be leading from a place of obligation or exhaustion. You are checking the boxes, you are pushing through, and you're telling yourself, just a few more weeks and I'll catch my breath. Sound familiar? Here's the problem. When you lead from that space, it shows up. Your energy sets the tone for your team. And if you're running on empty, chances are they are too, and they're feeling it. Joyless leadership creates a ripple effect. We talked about the positive. The ripple effect of not having it is low morale, disengagement, and a sense of just getting through. But when you lead with joy, everything shifts. It doesn't mean you ignore the challenges or skip the hard work. It means you approach them with a sense of purpose and lightness that inspires others to do the same. Remember, as a leader, you're changing what the future of a business could potentially look like. That's where the creativity and joy comes in of it. So how do you bring joy back into your leadership, especially when the pressure is on? Well, let's talk about a few simple but powerful strategies, because you know I love to give you examples. 1, celebrate small wins. And I know we've talked ad nauseum about that, but this is important, and I want to emphasize small wins. Stop waiting for the big milestones to celebrate. Joy truly lives in the little moments. Did your team meet a deadline? Celebrate it. Did you survive Monday? Celebrate it. Find reasons to acknowledge progress, no matter how small. So let me give you an example. I worked with a leader who started ending team meetings by asking everyone to share one win from the week, big or small. At first, to be honest, it felt forced, but over time it became the team's favorite part of the meeting because it shifted the focus from what wasn't done to what was working. 2, create rituals that spark joy. Find a small daily ritual that makes you smile and stick to it. Maybe it's playing your favorite playlist during your commute. Maybe it's stepping outside for a 5-minute walk or savoring your coffee without multitasking, actually savoring the coffee. These moments of joy are small, but they are powerful resets. So for me, and I'll share, it's dancing around the kitchen while my coffee brews in the morning. It's silly, but we know movement gets energy going, and it sets the tone for my day and reminds me not to take things so seriously. 3, practice gratitude daily. At the end of each day, write down 3 things you're grateful for. And I actually highly recommend that you write them down. They don't have to be profound. It could just be, I had a great lunch. That counts. Gratitude shifts your perspective and helps you find joy, even in the hard moments. And when it's in a hard moment, you can go back to that list. That's why I say write it down. So one leader I worked with said this practice changed her entire outlook during a challenging quarter. Instead of going in every day feeling drained by what wasn't working, she started noticing and appreciating the things that were. And they were small, but they made a big difference in how she approached her day, and her team noticed it. So when you lead with joy, it's contagious. Your team feels it, and it changes the energy in the room. Problems feel more manageable. Creativity flows more freely. Remember, we talked about creativity and how that allows you to create what the future of your company, the team, everybody looks like. And then people are more engaged. And for you yourself, joy acts as a buffer against burnout. I've been there. It reminds you why you do what you do and helps you reconnect with the best parts of leadership. Wish I had known that. All right, let's transition to part 3, the gift of your unique leadership. Now that we've explored presence of joy, we're going to talk about that secret weapon you have as a leader. It truly is your unique leadership gift. Because what makes you a remarkable leader isn't your title or your achievements. It's the one-of-a-kind strength that you and only you can bring to the table. It took me a long time to learn about that. So let me ask you a question. Do you know what makes you a great leader? So often we focus on fixing our weaknesses instead of amplifying our strengths. Remember, that's why the business hired us, for our strengths. But your greatest impact doesn't come from trying to be good at everything. It comes from leaning into what you're already exceptional at. Think about it. What's the quality that sets you apart? I can tell you for the longest time, I didn't know what it was, but one of my leaders knew. It was how I could get people to work together, how I could hear everyone's story, help them get to the end goal, because we all have the same end goal in mind. It was just, I was able to hear everyone. I was able to understand everyone and then speak to everyone separately to get them all on the same page, right? For you, it could be your ability to connect with people, your knack for creative problem solving, or maybe your talent for inspiring others to see the big picture. Whatever that is, it's your leadership gift. And the more you lean into it, the more authentic and impactful your leadership becomes. And if you don't know what that is, DM me, because I've got a really easy homework, if you want to call it that helps you identify what that is. So, another way you can identify and amplify your leadership gift, well, here's where to start. 1, reflect on what comes naturally to you. Think about the moments when you feel most in flow as a leader. You felt powerful. You felt really good in your body. Is it when you're brainstorming creative solutions? Coaching someone through a tough challenge? I know that was me. Motivating your team to rally around to share gold. These are all clues to your gift. So again, right? My gift, if you think about it, was connection. I love helping people feel seen and heard. And I know that's where I have the most impact as a leader. When I get to focus on that, everything else flows. 2, ask for feedback. Sometimes we're too close to our own strengths to see them clearly, or we're just really too humble. Ask your team or colleagues, what's one thing I do really well as a leader? Their insights might surprise you. One leader I remember coaching discovered through feedback that her calm presence during crisis was her gift. She had never thought of it that way, to be honest, but when she learned it, she leaned into it, and her team felt more supported than ever. 3, use your gift intentionally. Once you've identified your gift, look for ways to use it more intentionally. If your strength is creativity, schedule regular brainstorming sessions. If it's empathy, carve out time for one-on-one check-ins. Don't forget, your gift is your superpower. Use it. Let me give you another example because I love examples. A leader I worked with had a gift for storytelling. I wish I was great at storytelling. When she started using it to communicate the company's vision, her team felt more inspired and aligned than ever before. Think about it. We often forget sight of our vision and mission, right? So when you lead from your unique strengths, you inspire others to do the same. You create a culture of authenticity and empowerment where everyone feels encouraged to bring their best selves to the table. And the best part is leaning into your gift doesn't just benefit your team. It reconnects you to what you love most about leadership. So in closing, let me remind you, leadership isn't about doing more. It's about showing up fully with heart and purpose. Presence, joy, and your unique strengths are gifts you already have. It's just a matter of unwrapping them and putting them to use. If this episode resonated with you and you're ready to take your leadership to the next level, I'd love for you to join the waitlist for my upcoming program. Let's make 2025 the year you lead with clarity, courage, and confidence. Thank you for spending time with me today. Here's to finishing the year strong, not just in your results, but in the way you lead. I'll see you next time, and until then, keep leading with intention and heart.
Thanks for tuning in to today's Balanced Leader. If you want to go even deeper, then visit my website at carolinebarrett.com, find some free resources, and look at all the different ways that I can support you to become your best self. Remember, change begins with just one small step. It's those tiny actions that start you on the path to achieving your dreams and finding balance. And as always, life is an experience. So take a moment to enjoy the journey and appreciate the progress you make along the way. Until next time, keep taking those small steps, savor the journey, and lead with courage and authenticity. This is Caroline reminding you to stay bold, stay balanced, and keep moving confidently towards your dreams.